Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Recovery Kid Seth here. Time for some more Fat Loss 101. As promised, here's part 2 of my 3-part series of low carb versus low fat for beginners. So, the low carb approach. Low carbohydrate diets are becoming very popular in recent years, or they have become very popular in recent years. They're quite trendy these days. You're starting to see on food labels in the grocery store, low carbs or net carbs, more and more. And it's a pretty common theme, and you'll hear this. I hear this all the time. People say, yeah, I want to lose weight, so I think I'm just going to cut my carbs. Now, where's all this carbophobia coming from? Why are we afraid of carbs? Why are they the enemy? Well, the low carb approach, it basically comes down to insulin. Now, insulin is released every time that you eat food. Insulin goes up, and carbohydrates raise insulin the most. And depending on what kind of carbohydrates you eat, it could either be a quick, rapid spike in insulin, like simple carbohydrates, or if you eat complex carbohydrates, it's a slower, longer release of insulin in your bloodstream. So what's the problem with insulin? Why are we afraid of insulin? Well, when insulin goes up, fat burning stops. So the theory behind low carb diets is, if we just don't eat carbs and we can keep insulin really low all the time, then we'll be burning fat all the time. Now, there's some truth to this. If you go on an extremely low carb diet, a ketogenic diet, where you eat like 20 grams of carbs a day or less, and your body, you are in a constant state of fat burning. You really are. As long as you don't eat too much protein. In a ketogenic diet, you're eating a lot of fat and a moderate amount of protein. So yeah, but on just your typical average low carbohydrate diet, where you keep carbs low, but you're not going extremely low like that, anytime, like, the little bit of carbs you do eat are going to be used up for energy first before you go back to burning fat. But even if you are in a constant state of fat burning, like if you're on a ketogenic diet, you're not in a constant state of burning body fat. So every time that you eat fat, you're going to be using that for energy, not your love handles. So once the fat that you eat is used up for energy, then your body will start tapping into its fat stores for energy once it's forced to. So that's kind of the misleading thing about low carb diets, ketogenic diets, as far as they'll tell you, yeah, you'll be in a constant state of burning fat. Yeah, you are, but you're not in a constant state of burning body fat. You know, the fat that you eat is going to be used up for energy first. So that being said, it doesn't matter how low you go on your carbs. If you eat too much fat or too much protein, you're still not going to lose weight. Because all that really matters is that you're in a caloric deficit. You're eating less calories than you're burning every single day. But low carbohydrate diets can be effective for being in a calorie deficit. And the reason why that is if your diet before consisted of 50, 60, 70% of your diet was carbohydrates, and now you take carbohydrates out of the equation, you're probably going to eat less. Like, that's a big portion of what you were eating before is now taken out. So yeah, chances are you are going to eat less. If you're going to eat less calories if now your diet consists of meat and vegetables. And also, when you do cut out carbs, your appetite naturally goes down. You're just less hungry. So it would be a lot easier for you to be in a caloric deficit if you're less hungry, you know? And that's why it's people who are trying to talk you into going low carb, they'll tell you, like, low carbohydrate diets are easy. You don't have to count your calories, you don't have to track your food intake, you just don't eat carbs and you'll lose weight. Well, that will work for some people, because now that they're not eating carbs, they're eating less food because they're less hungry. So yeah, they might naturally start losing some weight at first because they're not eating as much. But that's not the case for everybody. I mean, some people are going to eat more calories because a gram of fat has 9 calories and a gram of carbs has 4 calories. So if you're just eating a bunch of fat, you can end up eating more calories on a low carb, high fat diet. So it all kind of just, it varies from person to person whether you need to track your calories or not. But for most people, to be successful, you're still gonna have to track your calories even if you're on a low carbohydrate diet. So, but what are some pros of a low carbohydrate diet besides becoming a fat burner? Because being a fat burner is a good thing. It definitely is. Like when you train your body to use fat for energy instead of carbs for energy, like there's some advantages to it, definitely. When you're not eating carbs throughout the day, you're not gonna have like the quick bursts of energy, like you get lots of energy from carbs because they're very energetic, but as soon as you burn up those carbs, then you have even lower energy than you had before. Like, so your energy levels really go up and down. But when you are on a low carb, high fat diet and you're using fat for energy now, your energy levels are going to be a lot more stable throughout the day because fat is burned at a lot slower rate when it's used for energy. So you're just going to have a really stable, good amount of energy throughout the day. And so that can be very beneficial to a lot of people. Another pro of going on a low carbohydrate diet is, if you're doing it right, which the correct way to do a low carb diet is healthy fats, high quality protein, and vegetables. If that's what your diet consists of, you're gonna be very healthy. And if you go really low carb, you have to avoid fruit. But if you're just doing a moderately low carbohydrate diet, you can still include a little bit of fruit in there. So if that's what your diet looks like, you're eliminated a lot of unhealthy food. I mean, you're basically only eating healthy food. So, you know, everything is whole food, nutrient dense based. I mean, that's a very healthy diet. As long as you're eating enough vegetables, you're getting in enough fiber. So you need those vegetables for the fiber and then your micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So yeah. So that is definitely one of the pros of a low carb diet. Now, who's gonna benefit the most from a low carbohydrate diet? People who are very overweight, obese individuals are gonna benefit a lot from a low carbohydrate diet, because if you're very overweight, then it's almost guaranteed that you have insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is a bad thing. So take out the carbs, not spiking your insulin all day long, your body's gonna heal there and you're gonna become more insulin sensitive. Insulin sensitivity is a very good thing. That's what we want. So that also brings in diabetics and or people who are pre-diabetic, like on their way to getting there. For them, a low carbohydrate diet is going to be awesome, not spiking insulin all the time. So yeah, and then the other group of people that could really benefit and do well on a low carbohydrate diet are people with sugar addictions, people with really bad eating habits, because once they go on a low carbohydrate diet and they're forced to basically eat meat and vegetables, a little bit of fruit, like it's gonna help with their bad eating habits a lot. You know, they're gonna retrain their mind and their taste buds into start enjoying healthier foods, and so that can be a great thing for the people in that situation, or people who are sedentary, because if you work a desk job and you don't exercise, you don't need those carbs for energy or to fuel your exercise or your workouts. So those are people that are going to benefit the most from a low carb diet. So that being said, that means people who are super active, athletes, people who lift weights, or just people who have really active day jobs, move around a lot, like construction workers or housekeepers, those kind of people, carbs are their friend. The low carbohydrate diet is probably not going to suit you best if that's how you are, if you're a very active person. And so that kind of leads me to, so now I guess I'll talk about the cons of a low carbohydrate diet. One of the cons, I think, is it's really hard to get your fiber in. It's because you have to avoid a lot of the healthy carbohydrate sources that are rich in fiber, like beans and nuts and seeds, and then some of the obvious ones like oatmeal, brown rice, quinoa, potatoes, sweet potatoes, butternut squash. I mean, those are all nutrient-dense, fiber-rich, complex carbohydrates that are very good part of a balanced diet. And so when you take out all those, it's really hard to get your fiber in. You have to eat a ton of vegetables to get the amount of fiber that you need. And most people are not gonna eat that many vegetables. Like, it would require a ton of vegetables to get enough fiber in. And also, like, people who go on ketogenic diets, they can eat hardly any vegetables at all because they have to keep their carbs at almost zero, and they are just going to be, people on ketogenic diets are missing out on a lot of micronutrients because they're just plain and simple aren't going to be getting enough from the very small amount of vegetables that they are eating. And so that's kind of my problem with real low carb diets, is they're very restrictive, and I think you miss out on a lot of micronutrients. You miss out on a lot of nutritious foods that you could be including in your diet if you weren't going super low carb. Especially like having to avoid fruit, that's just stupid. I know fruit is kind of made out to be the enemy of it these days because it's high in sugar, but yeah, it's also high in vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, vitamin C, fiber. I mean, fruit is a good thing. Like, yeah, your body treats sugar all the same if it comes from a candy bar or if it comes from an apple, but the candy bar has no nutritional value. The apple has nutritional value, and it's got the sugar, but it's got the vitamins and everything too, so it's not a bad choice. Fruit is good. 1 to 2 servings a day, not bad at all. So yeah, that's kind of low carb diets in a nutshell. They can be very effective. They serve their purpose. Some people benefit a lot from them. Really active people are not going to benefit from them as much. And just for your average individual looking to lose weight, I wouldn't recommend a low carbohydrate diet either, because it's not going to be sustainable for most people. I mean, do you really want to have to go the rest of your life without eating carbs? Because if you're picking a diet, you should ultimately be picking a diet that you can turn into a lifestyle. So once you get down to your ideal weight, you can continue those good eating habits you built. You just get to eat a little bit more now to maintain your new weight. So that's why I would pick a diet that you can enjoy, that's not super restrictive. And so yeah, and just low carb diets are just not very sustainable for most people. Most people are not going to want to be on it for very long because you're just missing out on a ton of food. Your diet becomes very restrictive. So yeah, and then that's going to lead me into part 3, which is low fat diets. Also, I don't think are the best choice for the average person looking to lose weight, but they do serve a purpose and they can be very effective for a certain percentage of people, and we'll go into that in part 3. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 3, and I'm out.